Hey guys, so today we are going to create a new typography design, and it's going to be in the same vein as our monogram one, where we were doing like this sort of warping the text to fit into a shape. In this case, we're going to be using a more complex shape and a more complex set of text. So I've found this picture of a husky. Now I'm going to explain what I'm going to do, and then once I explain what I'm going to do, you can kind of decide on what you want. But I'm going to take this picture of a husky, and I'm going to find a quote from one of my favorite books called Call the Wild. I found this list of quotes here, so I'm just going to copy this right here. They were savages, all of them, who knew no law but the law of club and fang. And I might actually shorten that out a little bit here. I might just get my text tool here and just once and then just paste all that. And I might just take out all of them because that's a bit wordy here. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 or so words. Now, if you want to find something that's between 10 and like 15 words, some kind of quote from some kind of song or book or something, and you want to make your own version of this, whatever it is you'd like, you can do that. But you want to make sure that whatever you're going to put it into, you want to make sure that this is a thing that you could easily recognize if you're looking at it by silhouette. Now, obviously, a person who's just sort of sitting down might not be the easiest silhouette to recognize. So say for instance, if you were doing like a sports quote, there's that Air Jordan logo of Michael Jordan doing the dunking the basketball, or like the Elvis playing guitar. Various things can be easily recognized by silhouette, but some things can't be. So think about what kind of what kind of quote you're doing, what might fit within it. And I'm going to find a sans serif font. And I'm going to make sure it's all caps here. So I'm going to find a sans serif font. Let me think here. I want to think I've got one called Felix Titling. Here we go. No, that one's not quite right. Maybe Market Deco. Here we go. This is a good one. Okay. All right. So this right here is good. Now this, obviously, if you think about like what kind of what kind of a quote you're working with, this might not be the best, but in this case, it's going to fit in terms of my how I want to fit this in. Okay, so the first thing we'll do with our text once we get it. So obviously, pause the video, find your picture, find your text. Once again, keep in mind that you want it to be around 10 words, not a whole lot more. But I'm going to go to I'm going to type. I'm going to go to Create Outlines. And let me think here. I want to go to Object on Group, so that way each letter is its own thing. Now before I move on, I'm going to group each word. So I'm going to grab they, and I'm going to hit Control and tap G, and so that'll be its own group. And then I'll do the same thing for each word. So they were, okay, group. So Control G is how I'm going to group these together. Make sure we have. Obviously, you don't have to do an animal, you don't have to do a person, you could do a car, you could do a famous building if you want to do like the Sydney Opera House or something like that. Again, a building that has like a very, what's the word I'm looking for? A very recognizable silhouette. I'm going to get rid of this period here. I need that. Okay. All right. And so now what we're going to do is I'm going to take these images here, or these words here. I'm going to just sort of like put them around. Now I'm going to leave his ears alone. I'm just going to there's going to be a few elements here or there, any kind of elements that you don't think you might be able to fit this into. So savages, they were savages who, let's think here, who, I might put this like on its side, maybe like this, like so, savages, like that. Savages who, okay, knew no law but the law of club and fang. Okay, all right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab, I'm going to get in a little close here, and I'm going to see if I can't warp these words to kind of fit in to the silhouette of the dog's face. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Object, Envelope Distort, Make with Mesh. Now you can decide precisely how complex you want your mesh. You can have it by 4 rows and 4 columns, so you'll have like a 16 grid square. I'm going to start off with that. You can preview that, see how it works, and I'll press OK. And so essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can't, I'll get even closer here. I'm going to see if I can't drag these corners. This works the same way as your warp does. Basically what you do, let's see, I have my mesh tool here. Basically what you do is you just grab the corners with your mesh tool selected, and you sort of like drag them around, and you can manipulate these little direction lines to kind of form these various curves. Now what you want to try to achieve is a sort of homogeneity amongst the different points of your text here. I'll make this a bit bigger here. So in this case, I want to make sure that most of the words, so I'll put this down here. Most of the spaces between the grid are evenly spaced to keep the letters sort of recognizable. Like so. I'll make this, this is going to look kind of weird at first, but I'll make sure it fits. A second here. Pull this all the way down here. This might look a little strange at first, but it's going to shape up in a second here. Oops. Pull this down some. Pull this down some as well. Pull this up. So once again, we have the mesh tool selected here. Alright, so I might stick that there. Alright, that's probably good. Maybe I'll move this over just a little bit to keep that E, the E more thickness. I might even pull this line up some. Okay, alright, so I'll keep that there. And let me get this word were, and I'll do the same thing here. I'll just go to get my move tool here, and I'll select this right here, and we'll do the same thing. We'll go to Object, Envelope Distort, Make with Mesh, and I'll keep it 4x4, and I'll just kind of move this over a little bit here, and I'll get my mesh tool selected over here. Press U on the keyboard. And I'll just pull these corners around, and I'll just continue shaping these words to fit in with the silhouette of my dog here. I'll pull that out a little bit there. And you don't have to have them abutted right up next to each other. You can have them be a little bit you can have a little bit of space. The closure will help. You know, the idea of like us sort of completing it for us. Our brain sort of complete these shapes for us here. There you go. Oops. Let me move this savages out of the way here. Move this out of the way. Back to this one. Back to the mesh tool. Alright, and so you separate the outline, then you kind of have to work within the inner workings of it to make sure they all fit together. There's no, but you can still recognize the letters. Kind of want these once again, you sort of want some even spacing between all the different sections here. Because you want to, once again, you still want to make sure that the silhouette is visible along the edges of the letters. So, for instance, this W probably needs to come a little bit more this way, just so it'll fit in with that. All right, I'll close out some more. Okay, there's that. Okay, as far as savages go, I'm going to put this down here to where I can kind of fit that into the leg. In fact, I'll make this a bit bigger so I can more easily fit it in like this. So we'll just... Alright, so once again, I'll go to Object, Envelope, Distort, Make with Mesh. And just keep doing this until you get your design fully made. And as I'm going to speed this video up, and you can kind of watch as I shape this up, and you can kind of get some ideas on how to best complete your design here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and speed it up now, or slow it back down. Now I just want to kind of point out something here. It always tends to work out better if you can just like one by one grab the little direction lines here, kind of make the lines of the mesh go kind of in the same direction to kind of avoid any like unnecessary curves, and try to get your letters to kind of reach the top there. So hopefully that'll pull things out. Let's take a look here. I want to just kick all the kinks out of the mesh. And that helps make the letters be a little less wonky. Obviously, the whole point is to wonk the letters up, but in this case, we'll see if we can't pull them into some semblance of being recognizable. We don't want them to be unrecognizable here. Okay, so let's moment of truth here. Let's go ahead and take off this layer here, and I can kind of see a dog shape there, but I think what's going to help best is if I can pull in here and make some ears. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take my pen tool, and I'm just going to draw just a little ear here that's going to perk up, kind of like a little husky dog ear. And I'll just make it black. And I'll do the same thing over here. As well, and I'll actually make a little nose too. Just pull it back some. Maybe I'll just put this out slightly. So now, all right. So here we go. So we have a little dog shape here. Now I'm going to add a background to this. So what you'll want to do is you just want to first off take the stroke off of these guys here. Yeah, no stroke, that's good. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to change the fill of all of these to maybe blue. Let's see, can I expand these? Edit, expand. I'm going to go Object, Expand. And then I'll just, that'll take them, they're no longer meshes, now they're, yeah, okay, that's good. And, all right, so we'll have that, and then we'll put like maybe the background could be like dark blue, or something like that. Maybe I'll even add a gradient to it. So let's add, because I'm always a big fan of adding gradients to things. So I'll just pull this down, new layer, and it's going to make everything disappear because it's the same color. We'll fill it up with a gradient, and we'll make it a radial gradient, and we'll start it, you know, maybe like a gray color. And we'll end it with like a dark blue color here. Not sure if I like that. How about I'll just go from gray to gray. Okay, that's good. All right, so whatever you want to do as far as this goes, you are welcome to pick and choose. And then once you're done, I think a good way, you know, obviously it's always good practice to just kind of resize things to make sure everything is in, you know, its proper place. So here I'll just group all this together, and I'll maybe make this as big as I can without sitting past the artboard. And save this as a JPEG. Yeah, very cool. All right, can't wait to see you guys produce.